In the words of, I don't know, Harriet Tubman probably, you either die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain. Okay, maybe that phrase is too strong. It doesn't really apply here. But the point, I'm trying to make the point is, sometimes people always say, oh, you know, things were so much better back in the old days. Now everything is just, Sometimes you have to watch something you love slowly crumble before your feet. And it's painful. And unfortunately, that's kind of how I feel about something that I've loved for so long and can't barely stand anymore. This is my official diss track to The Amazing Race. So first off, I know what you're probably thinking. What is this t-shirt and this mug that I'm carrying? Oh, these are Geography Now t-shirts and mugs that you can get at geographynow.com. Go to the website, get anything you want. The merch is there. And yeah, support the channel. Get Geography Now merch at geographynow.com. It's not selling out if it's your brand. Oh wait, I have to use my other eye. But in case if you're wondering about the eye patch, a few days ago I was riding a bike and then something got stuck in my eye. I don't know what it was. I hope it wasn't a bug, because now the bug is probably like crawling in my brain and trying to convince me to do bug things like destroy crops. I don't know. I can't even fully open my eye. And I went to the pharmacy. They didn't even have any more eye patches, so I had to get this from a costume shop and I had to make my own makeshift pad underneath it. Life is crazy. Anyway, so usually on this channel, you know, I do videos where I either like teach you guys geography or I travel and show you the world. But this time, I kind of want to do something that hits a little bit more on a personal note to me. Now, I've posted this on my social media, so some of you guys already know, but if you don't, one of the only few shows I actually watch and I've seen every single episode is The Amazing Race. This show actually brought me through the pandemic. Like I remember Hulu, like they had like every single season listed at one point during the pandemic, and me and my mom, we would just sit there and we would watch every single episode. It was like our thing that got us through the pandemic. And I know a lot of you guys like say that, you know, Geography Now got you through the pandemic and you watched all the country episodes, and I appreciate that. You know, just a heads up, for me, The Amazing Race was what got me through the pandemic. It was great. So for those of you that don't know what The Amazing Race is, The Amazing Race is a show where it's like all these contestants in teams of 2 race around the world, and they do challenges in every country that they go to for $1 million prize. And like the only transport that they are guaranteed are the airplane flights. They can choose usually they can choose their airplane flights, but once they land, they have to figure everything else out. They have to figure out their navigation, if they take a taxi or a train or whatever. They have to get to the next location based off of the clues that they're given, and once they get to that location, they have to do a challenge. Usually the challenges have something to do, it pertains to like either the culture or the values of the country or the people area that they're in. They are not allowed to have cell phones or any kind of like GPS devices. They can ask people on the street for directions, or they can use paper maps. They can buy them if they want. And usually these challenges include some kind of like physical or mental element or a mixture of both. Sometimes they're just like extreme challenges, like they have to like bungee jump or skydive or swim with sharks, something like that. It's a really cool, exciting show. I love it. So each episode is usually a leg of the race, and each team to arrive last at each leg usually gets eliminated. So as each episode moves on, there's fewer and fewer teams until you reach the final, ultimate last leg of the race. And usually the last episode is like the final 3 teams. They do sometimes have non-elimination legs, where the last team to arrive actually survives and moves on to the next leg. But usually in non-elimination episodes, there's like some kind of penalty that the last team has to suffer from to move on to the next leg. In the earlier seasons, they used to take everything away from you, all your belongings and all your money. Like they give you an allotted amount of money that you can use in each leg. They would take all your money and all your belongings, and you were only allowed to keep your passport. And then in the next leg, you had to figure it out and somehow like beg on the streets and get money from like the kindness of strangers to get like your taxi fare to get to the next location. Like it was intense, man. The only team in all of Amazing Race history to have had the non-elimination leg penalty, where they had all their stuff taken away from them and then went on to win the whole show, was Uchenna and Joyce. Probably one of, if not my favorite winning team of all time. They had such an awesome backstory. That was a good season. Like Joyce even had to shave all her hair off in one of the challenges in India. Many say that was like the move that propelled them to win the whole show. It was crazy. Later on, they kind of softened that whole rule, and like instead of taking all your stuff and money, they would just like give you a 30-minute penalty, or you would have to do a speed bump in the next episode, which meant like you would just have to do an extra challenge before everybody else started, which meant you would kind of like slow you down, or I don't know. I liked it better when they took all your stuff and you had to beg on the street, but whatever. The show is always changing and evolving over time. And there's so many other like cool little quirks and twists to the show. Like they have the fast forward pass fast where you can like skip a task and move forward. They have U-turns where you can screw over other contestants and make them do extra challenges instead of just one, so that it kind of like slows them down. They have yields where you can like make another team wait like 30 minutes before they do the challenge, so it slows them down and you can go ahead of them. There's so many things going on. One of the reasons I fell in love with the show, besides the fact that I'm a geography guy, is that usually they would go to these like unique, unconventional locations that threw the American audience for a loop, usually exposing them to new cultures and peoples that they otherwise may not have even heard of. And they started out strong. In the first season, they went to 4 continents, you know, the US, Africa, Europe, and Asia. Season 2, they went to 5 continents, including Brazil. So South America, it's like they hit the ground running when they started the show. This is one of the reasons why season 12, I would say, is probably my favorite season. And specifically because they went to Burkina Faso. I can't remember any time like any TV show has ever done anything in Burkina Faso. And it exposed the whole world to this whole new country that people usually have never even heard of. And it was a beautiful season because like they had to do challenges where they had to like perform a traditional dance and they had to memorize words in the native Mosi language. They had to milk camels. It was like, it really highlighted this unique place that most people have never even heard of. And they had such amazing cast members, like very memorable people. Ron and Christina, the father-daughter team, I was rooting for them. They got second place. Oh my gosh. Fun fact, she even ended up like marrying Azaria, the other guy from the same season. They had the Goths, Kent and Vixen, the only Goth team ever to be on The Amazing Race. And they did really well. They were really good at the challenges. Both teams were brought back on all-star seasons. And they always have like twists and turns to the show. Like season 29, they made complete strangers team up with each other. And that was really cool to watch, like the awkward dynamic between people who have never met each other, but they had to like cooperate to get to the prize. To this day, that's the only season where they've done that. Like I wish they would do that again. That's a cool concept. And that's the thing, like usually the show has a very, vibrant, colorful, wonderful cast of contestants, and they all have like different backstories and relationship dynamics. Now, usually the contestants are just kind of like normal, everyday Americans that have no real background in like travel or media presence. They just have like normal jobs, like being a grocery store clerk or an attorney, stuff like that. Occasionally, they might have some like public figures on the show. They even had a whole season dedicated to like social media influencers. They might have some like former professional athletes, pageant show winners, stuff like that. On one season, they pitted Survivor, Big Brother, and Amazing Race alumni contestants all against each other. So it was like a reality show contestant showdown 3-way thing. I'm gonna be honest, I'm not a huge fan of these like public figure contestant episodes because it's kind of like some of these people, they already won their shows. Like I remember they had like Rachel Riley on the show and she already won Big Brother. So it's like, why do I want to watch somebody who already won $1 million fighting for $1 million? Like it's like, come on, I just want someone who's just like an average nobody who has no $1 million get $1 million. Logic, but I don't know. But aside from the people I already mentioned, Uchenna, Joyce, Ron, Christina, the Goths, besides them, some of my top tier, like most memorable favorite teams that have ever competed are as follows. I actually wrote this down. Let me go down my list. Season 5, the bowling moms, Linda and Karen, they were just like this happy, bubbly team of like 2 moms. They had their families and back home, they just liked bowling. And you would think they were underdogs, but they actually did pretty well. They got like 4th place. They were so close to getting into the final 3, but then like a climbing challenge in the Philippines kind of hindered them. But man, they were such a good team. Sharla and Myrna. Sharla had achondroplasia, I think it's called. The dwarfism. She was the first and only little person that has ever been on the show. And they were very shrewd. Like they figured out how to get like the flights that arrived to the destination faster than all the other contestants. And they just played their own game and they played by their own rules and they did pretty well. It was really cool watching, especially Sharla doing all the challenge. She did not care about other people being taller than her. She she went for it. The Cowboy brothers, Jet and Cord, huge fan favorites. Everybody loved these guys. Were just the most quintessential cowboys. They wore the cowboy hats. They did pretty well at challenges. I think they ranked 2nd place in their season. Everybody remembers the Cowboys. The Sri Lankan twins, Natalie and Nadia, they were so like hilarious. They were always bickering with each other, but they did so well in the competition. It's so funny. Natalie actually went on to go on Survivor and she actually won. The biggest upset of all though was season 24. They were brought back for an all-stars season and they got eliminated in the first round in China, but the next episode was Sri Lanka. So it's like, it would have been so cool to see the Sri Lanka twins in Sri Lanka. I think the production actually deliberately put that as a destination for the Amazing Race because they wanted to see the twins, but they were eliminated. So it's like you never got to see that. You never got to see the Sri Lanka twins in Sri Lanka. But guess that's just how things happen sometimes. My favorite cutthroat team, though, was probably Tim and Marie, the exes. Like, they made you know for sure they were exes. Like, they were like, no, after this show is over, if we win, we're splitting everything 50-50. I'm going my way, he's going his way. But it's weird because, like, they're always bickering and arguing, but the bickering and arguing helped them. It, like, helped them. That's how they worked. That was their social dynamic. You were kind of thinking, like, they have the exact same kind of mindset. They really get each other. They really understand each other. They seem perfect for each other, but they apparently hated each other. I don't know. Cole and his mom, Sherry, son-mother team. I always tend to root for, like, the parent-child teams, partially because it kind of speaks more to me. For some of you guys that already know, after my dad passed away, my mom kind of became my dependent, and she started living with me, and I kind of take care of all that. So I feel more of a connection to the parent-child teams. I think they were the highest-ranking son and mother team. They were such a good team. Cole was always supporting his mom, and she even, like, changed the oil on an old Soviet car in Armenia, and he was, like, cheering for her the whole time. It was so cool to see that. But my favorite team of all time, Tony and Dallas, I believe, what was that, season 13? Mother-son team again. I feel like they could have gone really far. They could have won, but the issue was Dallas lost the passports in a taxi in Russia, and they were held in Russia until they could get their new passports. So that's why they weren't even in the show's finale when all the contestants come up and cheer on the winners. Like, they were stuck in Russia. Like, if Dallas had just had the passports, they probably could have won, and they could have been the first mother-son team to have won. Their dynamic was great, very supportive of each other. Honorable mention, Brooke and Claire, aka the watermelon face lady. She got hit in the face with a watermelon. Everybody remembers that. And they ended up getting second place. See, just like the concept behind the show is just genius, and I love it and I appreciate it, which is why it pains me so much to say the show kind of sucks now. I'm sorry, but I have to be honest. And I get it. Like, there's a lot that goes into the production of this show. Like, I know each team has to have a cameraman and an audio guy following them at all times. And whenever they book flights, they have to book flights for 4 people, not just 2. And I know that, like, they spend countless hours trying to come up with, like, destinations and local contacts and venues for the challenges. And it takes a lot of time and effort to make each season. I get it and I appreciate it. And I think that's an amazing thing on the production half. And I'll give them a little bit of grace because I know in season 33, the whole show was affected by the COVID pandemic and they had to stop mid-season, and then like that kind of messed up the format a little bit because for the next few seasons they had to like change it up. All the contestants had to get on charter flights rather than going to the airport and selecting their own flights, and they had to like just kind of stay in the confines of like Europe because that's like one of the only few places that was open at the time. And I know that every subsequent season since then has been like slowly trying to get back on track to the original format. Like the next season, season 34, they were still trying to stay a little cautious with the way how they did things. They stayed mostly in Europe, but they added Jordan, which was cool. They've never done that before, so they added a new destination, meaning that they had 3 continents involved. Also, season 34 had a very memorable team, Emily and Molly, the twins that were separated at birth and reunited as adults. I was rooting for them, and they actually got second place. You know, season 35, they opened up a little more. They did Europe, and then they also included India and a bit of Southeast Asia, so they opened up a little more. That looked promising, and they brought back the select your flight option. And then season 36 happened, and in my opinion, that may have just been the second worst season of all time after season 8, the family edition, where they had like 10 teams of 4 family members and they included children, and like it was only in the United States and a little bit Costa Rica, Panama, and that's usually regarded as the worst season in Amazing Race. Like most of the fans say that was the worst one, and I agree with it. But season 36 was, and here's the deal, I heard through the grapevine, season 36 was actually filmed before season 35, I think, which explains why they still had the charter flight thing going on. Like the contestants were still not allowed to choose their flights. Also, part of the show I forgot to explain is that usually in the next leg, you leave according to the amount of time that you arrived at the pit stop. So if you arrive first and the second person arrives 15 minutes after you, then the next day they leave 15 minutes after you. If you arrive 30 minutes after, you leave 30 minutes after. Like, usually you leave according to the amount of time that you arrived from the previous contestant before you. In this season, they didn't do that. They just made everybody leave within 15-minute increments of each other. And the other thing about season 36, the entire thing just happened in like Latin America, except one episode was like in Barbados. And like half of the contestants, they already spoke Spanish. So it's like there was no communication struggle for most of them. And there were no like equalizer challenges. You know, like the parts where everybody meets up at one challenge because they have to make everybody wait. And so it kind of levels the playing field. No, it's just like you were pretty much guaranteed whoever was in front of the pack was probably just going to win the show. Shocker, it was the Spanish speaking guys. And a lot of the challenges in that season were just incredibly, they were just easy. I remember one of the challenges was just like move some balloons to another place. Like, you don't understand. Some of the challenges in this show are really complicated. They're like puzzles that you have to just figure out without knowing anything. I remember when one season they had to like answer phones in a room full of ringing phones. So you had to listen very carefully and you had to get like a bunch of letters and you didn't even know what the letters were spelling. You just had to guess it. The first season, you had to walk with tigers. You had to walk through a valley of tigers to get the next clue. Like, a lot of times, like, the show pushed people outside of their comfort zone, and that was the most entertaining part, like the part where they had to do a challenge that was difficult or uncomfortable. Like, that's what I loved about the show. But in this season 36, move some balloons. Like, what the hell was that? I don't know. It was just like one of the most underwhelming seasons ever. I don't even think I remember anybody from that season. Season 37 was more promising. They went to more continents. They went to 3, including Europe and Asia. They went to the Emirates. They went to, what was it, Hong Kong, Indonesia, and Japan. So it's getting back up there. So I'm like, okay, yeah, good. The show is back on track. But now we're in season 38, and it's a season where all the contestants are just Big Brother contestants, and it's gonna only take place in Europe. I feel like every time The Amazing Race gets closer and closer to the original lovable format that people fell in love with and want to see, they screw it up with a crappy season. Like, dude, like, I don't watch Big Brother, so I don't even know who these contestants are. Like, I watched like maybe 1 or 2 seasons of Big Brother, but like, it's not really my thing because the show just lasts forever. It takes too long. Like, they filmed the show over the course of like 3 months and you have to follow it in real time. Like, I think the reason why they did that is because the Amazing Race shows after Big Brother on CBS, so they figured, oh, maybe we'll just have all the Big Brother fans migrate over to The Amazing Race right after the show is over. It's like, I get that strategy, but like, you're kind of isolating all the people like me who don't even care about Big Brother and don't watch it. Like, it's like, and then they're just like referencing Big Brother all the time on the show. It's like all the contestants were already on reality. Like, some of them, I think they already won the whole show. So it's like, we have a bunch of winners that already won Big Brother that are on Amazing Race now. It's like that's just, and it's only taking place in Europe. Like, you're limiting the areas that the people travel to. Like, the reason why people love Amazing Race is because you get to see the whole world, or at least as much of it as possible. But when you're confining it to just one continent, diluting the essence of the show and watering it down to just nothing more than Big Brother contestants. Like, Anyway, with all that done and said, you know, I've been complaining a lot, but I don't want to just be a complainer and just leave you guys with that. Like, I want to be someone who offers solutions. So, in my opinion, as a spectator on the sidelines, what do I think are some ways that The Amazing Race can improve? Well, number one, first of all, stop depending on public figures. Just bring it back to like regular, average Americans with that nobody's heard of. I don't care if the contestant has 1 million followers or whatever, a public figurehood. Like, I want to see real people with real normal lives on the show. Number two, I've noticed this. Technology has kind of ruined the show in a way, because like in the early seasons, there were no GPS devices. Like, what if you got penalized for asking people on the street for using GPS devices? Yeah, what if you got penalized for that? Make the show a little bit more difficult navigation-wise. And that's the thing, bring back more penalties. People are getting away with way too many things, and they're not getting docked at the very end of the leg when they make it to the pit stop. Make people get penalized more. I want to see more penalties. We haven't seen a penalty in like a long time on the show, because sometimes penalties can make or break a team. If the team shows up, but then they realize they did something wrong, and then they have to wait, and then another team passes them, that is, ooh, I miss those moments on the show. You guys don't do that anymore. Like, come on, bring back more penalties. Next up, The Amazing Race has to go back to Africa. We have not seen any episodes in Africa since season 31. The best episodes in The Amazing Race always happen in Africa. You have to go back there. It's been too long. In general, make the show harder. Why are all these challenges like everybody just goes for the physical challenge because they assume it's going to be easier? Half the time we don't even get to see what the other challenge is because like almost nobody chooses it. Maybe one team, like I think in the last season there was one team that chose like the build the guitar challenge. At least we got to see it, but then everybody else just went for the physical challenge. Make more equalizer challenges. Give a little bit more of an advantage for the teams in the back of the pack, you know? Otherwise you're just gonna follow the top 3 teams that are ahead of all the others, and you're pretty much just going to be guaranteed that they're going to win. Like, there's no fun in that. It's more fun when there's a twist that brings a back of the pack team in the front. Next, the show needs to be more cutthroat, and it has been slowly getting a little bit more cutthroat. Like, I'm glad that you brought back the U-turn. Like, I know you took that away ever since the pandemic, but then you brought it back, and we saw it getting used a few times, like the mother-daughter team in season 37. They used it against the brothers or whatever, but there just needs to be more of like a conflictual dynamic to the show. I don't know how you do that. Maybe cast more cutthroat people, and usually those people are like the teams that have a tension between them, like divorced couples, or I don't know, people that have some kind of problem with each other. Recently, all the teams have just been kind of nice and cool with each other. Like, they don't want to like get anybody angry. It's just like, oh, come on. It's more fun when there's people like really competing with each other. I don't know. If it was up to me, I would bring back the whole like taking all your belongings and money and let you beg on the street element. I would put that back in the show. I don't know. Maybe for some kind of like legal reasons you can't do that anymore. I don't know. But if you're legally able to do that, I would bring that back to the show, because that was a really fun element that you guys had in the show in the earlier season. And in the earlier seasons, people had to like sleep on the streets. That's how intense it was. Like, they literally slept on the street next to the challenge. It was like, that's how intense the show is. Now everybody just gets a nice little hotel and they get a little stipend for their whatever off period when they're not filming. Come on, let these people struggle a little bit more. Long story short, it needs more drama and it needs harder challenges. You need to stop babying the contestants. They get everything they want. If they need directions, though, someone just pulls it up on their smartphone and then gives them Google Maps. Like, no, stop it. Like, let these people really figure out the world, the challenges. Bring them to places where they don't speak the language. Bring them to places where they don't understand anything about the customs or culture. They don't have any advantage because they've never been to this place. They've never studied this place. Let these people figure out the world. Stop giving them everything they need to begin with. That's the beauty of travel. Putting yourself in a place you've never been and figuring it out. That's what I want to see on The Amazing Race. I don't know. So those are just my 2 cents in a bucket of multi-million dollars. I don't know. Take it or leave it. I don't care. That's just my opinions. Hope my subscribers who watch The Amazing Race enjoyed this video. If you've never watched it and this doesn't apply to you, I'm sorry, but I just wanted to make this personal video. I've been meaning to make this video for a while. So anyway, cheers. Hope you have a good one. Stay cool. Stay tuned.